When I start traveling again, I'll be taking some of you up on your kind invitations to come visit. We'll give those legendary barbecue skills of yours a workout, and maybe we'll pull the chairs around a fire and sing some songs. That's my natural habitat. This video thing is learned. I do campfires by ancient instinct. Every bit of music I've ever played, however clumsy or expert, has been an attempt to connect across the space that divides us, and I'm not talking about politics. We live in our own heads, trapped inside ourselves, if you will. It's an unrelenting thing, this constant self-knowledge. Our thoughts and opinions, our responsibilities, what makes us happy, and especially lately, what makes us angry. Songs are the way I leave the vault of self to be joined by you in a shared space. That is, if I've managed to coax you out of your own vault of self. Like the common sense we try to gather on this channel, a campfire or a backyard song circle is common ground as well. And the best songs, played with skill or even just with heart, are the way we meet on that ground. As equals, comfortable in our strengths and unashamed of our weaknesses and failures. I almost never sing for an hour without visiting Van Morrison or John Prine, most often both. I remember falling in love with Brown Eyed Girl as a boy. I was a hung-up kid, way too self-conscious. I didn't like one thing about myself, not even my name, David Kent Morrison. Oh, God, not a cool name at all. But when I became aware of the music of this fellow from Northern Ireland, who somehow also seemed to be from America's rural South, I had a thread to hold on to. Van Morrison. That did sound cool. Maybe being Dave Morrison would be okay after all. And later, as I grew up and started making little songs of my own, John Prine's influence arrived. From Chicago. But he too seemed to hail from that place where I've never lived, but to where I've always been drawn. The rural South. The land of the darkest blues and 1,000 forms of redemption. If you're not familiar with John Prine, his best-known song is Angel from Montgomery. Bonnie Raitt had a hit with that song. Angel from Montgomery gets inside the head and heart of a worn-down old woman looking back across her life and asking for something, anything, to elevate what's left of her time on earth. Like few others, John Prine could look into the eyes of unseen Americans and make them truly visible. I've carried the songs of both these men on my own voice hundreds of times. I love them both. When John Prine died and was reported as a COVID death, I was as saddened as anybody else who didn't know him directly. But simultaneously, I was skeptical. Here was a guy who didn't spend his life counting calories and avoiding every habit he enjoyed. Nobody had scolded him or frightened him into trading it all away for a few more years above ground. But when he died, his death was taken by folk music fans as a validation not of his life, but as proof that we all needed to fear this cursed virus. In some weird way, he became a hero of the shutdown, its first martyr. I think he would hate that. My own older brother lived like John Prine. Kevin never passed up the joy of a cheeseburger or that of a non-filtered Camel. They'd have gotten along fine, those two. Coffee and alcohol and late nights and long drives and living inside shoes that had always pointed toward eternity, whenever eternity should choose to begin. That's the John Prine I knew through those wonderful songs. A man who loved his freedom, even if that freedom would send him on before we were ready to let him go. He had fought back throat cancer and later lung cancer. Still, he told a reporter that his idea of heaven was a cigarette 9 miles long. He left us 8 months ago. I suspect he's finished off about 100 yards of that thing. I was sad when my brother died 4 years ago, and I was sad when John Prine died in April. But surprised was not a word I'd use. Van and John, here and gone. The one has left the stage, and the other, a man known to struggle with the spotlight, is holding the stage like a titan. Van Morrison sees what is being done to us for our own good and doesn't buy it for 1 second. He knows that he'll be trashed by the rock press who once adored him. He knows that he'll be called every name that the left uses to erase anybody who will not bow before the collective mind. Eric Clapton has now joined Van in the struggle to save live music, and now he too is being called nasty names. I can only hope that others will join them. I know that I'll download their new song when it drops today or tomorrow. Proceeds go to the fight to save concerts. Did you ever think that we'd need to fight to save concerts? I've been talking with you guys about the importance of a shared culture for a good while now. Those who are using coronavirus as an excuse to strip away our liberties don't want us choosing our own expressions, forming our own communities. The COVID fear machine wants one giant collective, frightened and socially isolated and glued to their devices to receive their marching orders. To be so starved of their cultural exchanges that they look to big tech, big business, and big government for meaning. The unholy triumvirate that is even now seizing control. I'm with Van and Eric on this, and somewhere beyond the clouds, the man who told us to blow up our TVs must be with them too. The two songs that I always play at a campfire are Into the Mystic by Van Morrison and Paradise by John Prine. Both songs begin with a return to home, the love of this earth, the sights, and even the smells. Both go on to embrace the eventual passage into something far greater. I'll leave off here and go to the Dave Morrison channel and play you those two songs. That video will be easy to find because I'll make everything else over there disappear for a while. Just you and me and the songs of two legends who've been caught up in the great pandemic reset. Thanks for checking in. I'll leave the link below.